All right, guys. Well, we're excited. Brandon Blake, Traditions Interiors, is here with us, San Antonio. Brandon, how are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, we were just talking before we hit record. It's been a week. Every stager loves to come in and find standing water in their warehouse.
Let's just
And
add that to the mix. Why not?
another day in 2020. Bring it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I don't know. Isn't the saying you will never have more than you can handle? So there you go. I guess.
Okay. All right. Somebody thinks I can handle a lot. So
Well, tell me, how are things going with you guys? A little bit of the before, during, and after. Obviously, we're in here, we're in Texas together. We've
yeah.
been one of the states that really kind of led the charge of reopening. Probably things look a little differently there than they did 4 or 5 weeks ago. How are things going?
So we've had an interesting cycle. And I'm trying to wrap my brain around it. Nobody seems to be able to make sense of this economically, right? Conventional economics just cannot predict what we are seeing right now. But we had an absolutely just gangbusters January and February. And our contracts, like many people's contracts, are 60 days, right? Which means if you staged in January, well, that property now needs to be destaged at the end of March. And I remember, what was it, March 24th, 25th?
Oh, it was
Santa,
spring break. Like the
yeah,
sky fell as spring break.
right, right. And I think it was the 25th, the San Antonio mayor said, okay, guys, stay at home order. And at that point, real estate was not an essential industry. And so I'll never forget, I started texting all my team and said, hey guys, all hands on deck. If you drive a pickup, bring it. If you have access to a trailer, bring it. We're going to destage 14 properties in one day. Now, we didn't. We ended up destaging, I think it was 9 properties in one day. But still, that's a lot of properties to
Yeah.
destage in one day. And then they all had the next day off. Well, in the next day, then the mayor of San Antonio exempted real estate from the stay-at-home order. And the next 2 weeks were really, really interesting, right? All of my employees are part-time employees, and the agreement is show up at 8:30. We're going to work until there isn't any work, and then you can just go home. It's very flexible for them and very advantageous for an owner because you don't have a lot of extra payroll that you don't need. Well, so then we entered the next 2 weeks, which was destaging just about every property that we had staged. And so nobody could go home because there was plenty of work to
Now,
do.
were you choosing to destage these, or were you getting the calls to destage? How did that work out?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. We were getting calls to destage
Okay.
because what we see is our average days on market here, if we've staged a property, is between 5 and 6.
Mhm.
So all these finance timelines and appraisals had all come back, and these jobs or these closings were still moving forward. So we had to do our job. And I'm very thankful that we were exempt from the stay-at-home order because otherwise, I don't know what we would have done, right? Because we have all these properties that are still closing and we need to remove our furniture. So I think over the next 2 weeks, we destaged over 40 of our properties. And so that creates a problem,
So
obviously,
I
in the
got to ask,
warehouse.
how long? Average home, might be 2 living, 2 dining, one master, some kitchen and baths. How
Yeah.
long? What was your standard time? Were y'all just like a well-oiled machine in and out? How did it work?
Oh man, I love our team. Yeah, they're a well-oiled machine. We could stage that property that you just outlined in an hour and a half, and
Yeah,
we could
that's
destage
great.
it in an hour. Yeah,
Love it. Love
yeah.
it. So that really put your processes to the test, I'm sure. Like, we've got to be in and out. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of homes. That's a lot of furniture. Oh,
It's a lot of furniture. Stuff was stacked up absolutely everywhere, and we've got a big design job too that we're working on, 10,000 square foot house, and that stuff's all coming in. So fortunately, we've got a relationship with a mini storage right at the end of our street. That's where I get my Penske's from if we need extra, and we also probably have 4 or 5 storage units over there right now.
oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. So you
Yeah.
had all of this influx. Your team stepped up. You guys were able to destage what you could. You then immediately went to Essential with real estate.
Mhm.
Was the phone ringing off the hook? Did you see a lull, or has it just been progressively like, the calls have been coming in slowly? What does it look like after all of that?
Big lull. Our one of our largest clients is an iBuyer, and they said, "Hey, we're halting all staging for the next 30 days." So right there, that's 15 a month. That's that's freed up. Another one of our guys, not quite iBuyer, but still flips. I mean, he's got 22 houses in his pipeline that we know about right now. He said, "Hey, I really need," like every business owner did, right? "Hey, I really have to watch my cash flow. So what do we have coming up? And let's wait 2 weeks and see what's going on." So huge lull. But again, as stagers, we collect a lot of our money at the front. When we sign that staging agreement, we do that staging. We do the 60-day staging contract, paid
Yes.
in full, right? So we're
Right.
doing a ton of destaging without that matching revenue, right? So big lull, and a lot of people, even staging contracts that we had, decided they wanted to wait, whether they didn't want people coming to see their house, or they wanted to comply with the stay-at-home order and felt like this was contrary to the stay-at-home order. Whatever the reason was, it created a lot of uncertainty, which understandably created a huge lull. Now it's starting to come back. We're doing 3 houses in the parade. Parade got delayed by a month, but hey, it's going to happen, and I think it starts next week or the week after or something like that. But we're doing all the stagings this week. The iBuyer's back. The good news is they recognized that when we stage a house,
It makes a
it,
difference.
it goes under contract that weekend. If we don't stage a house, it goes under contract when they dropped the price 14 days later. So that was a huge, I guess, reassurance of what we do.
Yes.
So it's starting to come back, but it's definitely not where it was January, February yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned, then here comes the flood, and it just helped you reassess maybe some of your inventory. What are our options here? Is this, an insurance claim write off? What do we do in a case like this? As all of this inventory is kind of switching gears here. So what are you guys, how are you handling that? Because that's another situation we definitely don't plan for. And then how are you planning, like, as you think about how to deal with that, and on the other end of it, how are you setting your business up for success moving forward with, the right inventory, all that good stuff?
you know, Borrow a cliche that everything happens for a reason, right? I don't know that I necessarily buy into that wholeheartedly. I think good things come to people who will take on a little bit of risk and walk through open doors. But in this case, it really did work out, because, hey, we just staged 40 houses. So we have a lot of furniture here in the warehouse, and it could have been a lot worse than it was. We lost maybe $25,000 worth of furniture. But when you're looking at, a 16,000 square foot warehouse full of furniture, it could have been way worse, right? So, hey, we were probably hoarding a little bit, and we're going to lose $25,000, but it's pushing us to a point where we actually have to take a look at what we have and say, are we going to use this, yes or no? Or are we just keeping this around? So, we'll see. I mean, I think a lot of times it is easier to lease space and annex another storage unit than it is to go through your inventory and figure out what can go.
You're absolutely right. We talk about it's the closet that we just keep buying the new clothes for, that's the fun part. And the fun part is not the organization or the cleaning it out, but it is something that has to be a revolving door. Otherwise, we overbuy, or we have so much warehouse space, square footage, that we could have really been operating at, um, two-thirds of it. So
Yeah.
you just never know.
Yeah, totally. So I think it just puts us in a position where maybe we were going to do these things eventually, right? One of the big things that we did during that lull is great. I don't have to put out fires. I can actually be a business owner
Yeah.
and rise up to that executive level. We redid our website, we redid our Facebook, we redid our Instagram, all these things that were sitting up on my whiteboard right over there with a to be determined next to them. Well, suddenly those all jumped to the very top of the list. So with a flood in the warehouse, same thing. Eventually, we were going to go through the stuff. Well, why not now?
That's great.
But 2020, if you're listening to me, let's knock it off for
Yeah.
just a little bit. It's summer. The pool is open. We need to have a drink at the pool. Aliens can invade at the end of the summer. But for right now, let's just knock it off.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I think all of us have had to kind of reassess. We've had to go on the fly think on the fly and literally like, okay, here are my options. What do? We need to destage 9 houses. We need to protect our inventory. We need to plan for, this the home tour and the it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much that we're having to juggle in our mind, and
Yeah.
taking a break, having a moment to be able to. None of us could have planned this, but I believe it's the strong that will survive, right? The people that can
Yeah.
think and
Yeah.
process
Totally.
and make decisions quickly.
One thing I tell my kids all the time, and you're spot on right there, you cannot control what happens to you. You can only control how you respond to it, right? And I see 2020, and for me, 2019 was actually a very, very difficult year as well. But I see how all the little stressors that built through 2019 have inoculated me to stress, right? SEAL teams, they go through BUDS training, right? All BUDS training is an elaborate plan to inoculate you from stress. They don't actually learn anything that it takes to become a SEAL. They just learn how to be inoculated from stress, right? And one of the guys that I go to for wisdom, he says prioritize and execute, right? You can't go around this. You can't hide from, I mean, you can, but don't. Can't hide from it. Nobody else is going to step in and do this for you. Sometimes you just have to look the things in the face and take them head on and just take one foot in front of the other, right? How do you finish a marathon? One foot at a time.
Yeah. And we love to say assess, address, and progress, right? And I
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
like you assess the situation and you think about, I mean, even I've heard of the pilot and just all of the training that if you can imagine your plane is going down, but
Yeah.
that pilot, when they pull the box, that pilot is speaking just as clear and concise as he would if there was no stress or situation. So really training ourselves, our teams, our leaders of our teams, this is how we move forward. We don't
Work the
panic.
problem.
You can't move forward in panic, right?
Right. Right. You're 100% correct. Yeah.
And I think one thing that sticks out with you to me is you have such a business mindset, and you are like that SEAL team for staging. When you can come in and train, like you are a trainer. I'm speaking that into you. Like people see a difference in you. They see that you have stepped into an industry that you are not familiar with and just picked up the baton and kept running forward and breaking through and breaking those barriers. Not many people can do that, and so I know you have aligned with us, and you're pouring into other stagers. You're asking the right questions. You continue to learn, and so hopefully there's a day very, very soon that you're going to be. I know you're going to be speaking with us at Reconnect, but just continuing
Yeah.
a journey of pouring into people. How important is it to have the right mindset, in business as a leader, as we're making decisions?
It's everything. But I think I was talking to a friend of mine who, he made a comment, and we were just sitting in my office having chips and queso and margaritas, quarantine style. And he made a comment that said, I wish I could do something like this one day. And I said, why not tomorrow?
Yeah.
Right? Because literally all it takes is seeing the right open doors, seeing them as an open door, and being able to, or being willing rather, to take on the risk to walk through that door. Nothing in life is guaranteed,
Right.
right? And what I did was I played the safe route, right? I was banging my head into a brick wall for 4 years as a sales guy for a company, making somebody else a lot of money. Well, with the same mindset, just adding a little bit of risk to it and walking through an open door. Now we have this,
Mhm.
right? And I'm having the time of my life. And honestly, like, I have 3 stagers that work for me, and they're having the time of their lives because they don't have to worry about running a business like a lot of stagers do in their business. And you've been extremely generous in helping grow those business leaders, you know, in those design industries. But hey, I get to take on all the risk. I get to take on all the business effort and just let them do what they love to do. And that gives me passion and purpose every single day, because I'm like, man, I'll do that all day long. I love watching you guys work, and
That's
then
right.
I'll do this thing.
Well,
So
it is like clockwork, Mike McAllowitz, and you know,
yeah,
as you grow, Brandon, and your vision grows, when you dial it in at one location, what's to stop you from, you know, really going into other markets and being able? I mean, if you can learn something and figure out all of the, I guess, the unknowns to a degree, the business basics, the best principles.
yeah.
Now all of a sudden, it allows you to create whatever you want, right?
Hey, as long as I can find open doors and take on the risk to walk through them, absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, so many businesses now are national. You know, our vendors are national. Our
Hmm.
investors want to be in different markets,
Yeah,
and so whether we are collaborating as HSRA companies and being able to have referral partners, or we decide to launch into other markets, you know, the true competition is the person that doesn't believe in staging. There's a ton of business out
yeah.
there for everyone, right?
Well, I estimate, and I haven't looked at these numbers in a while, but I sat down with an agent that has MLS access, obviously, and he was telling me that we have between 350 and 400 houses listed a day here in San Antonio, right? And I could be way off on the numbers. This was just a conversation that we had, and I said, well, if I multiply that by 30, or conservatively by 22, because that's the amount of working days in your average month,
Mhm.
and I do between 30 and 35 stagings a month, that means I have somewhere around a 0.01% market share. And you're right, my
You're one of the
competition,
largest.
I know, right? My competition's not you or one of the Austin stagers or any of the Houston stagers. My competition is the people who don't see ROI in staging.
Right.
So immediately, and you spoke, you know, you're going to be a trainer. I was like, that is the biggest opportunity for all of us. If
Yep.
I invest time, money, and effort into convincing people that they need to stage and that ROI is there, we all win.
That's
I
right.
mean, nationwide, we all win.
Yeah, it is. It's all in the education because, you know, not only with staging being kind of a new industry, take it or leave it, you know, with a lot of people. Not only do we have to educate them on why home staging works, but then we need to educate them on, okay, well, here are some of the best choices in the marketplace when it comes to home stagers, because they don't know the difference between the company. They just go with the cheapest. So there's a
And
lot of education.
can I say, it's not super controversial, but it's kind of controversial, is that when it comes to home staging, the design only matters this much,
Right.
right?
Yes.
It's all in the ROI,
Yes.
right? How big can we go in this frame, right? And so, and that's the mindset. And what I love that HSRA is doing is transforming those conversations, right? It's not about the design. It's not about making the houses look pretty. It's about sitting down with the agent and saying, I will sell your house X amount faster. Here's the data that proves it. And I will sell it for X amount, at least asking, if not more asking. We had a house the other day. It went 42,000 over asking.
Wow.
Um, so having those conversations and saying, this is not an expense, this is how I serve you, it is what transforms. And then the other component is, I hear a lot that we communicate, right? And I've instructed all of our stagers, hey, you know, I'm XYZ, I'm on the way to the property, I'm going to be there in about 30 minutes, we'll have it staged by. That way they know I've got pictures at this time, it's going to be done. and then we confirm, hey, we are done and leaving, you
Yes.
know. And a lot of times it's that conversation that gets left out, the communication that gets left out. But if you look at every great company, Amazon, Zappos, right? All these great companies that are known for their world-class service, what do? They have a phone number, they have a chat option, they have an email option, and they always close the loop, right?
You're
So
right.
anyway, so that's my biggest contribution, I think, to this conversation is, hey, raise the level of that communication and raise the level of the business speak to really appeal to agents.
You're absolutely right. And on their level and how they want that communication. I think about, getting your groceries, from Kroger. They're going to tell you where it is in the pipeline, where it is in the process, your pizza delivery, right?
I know,
So
Domino's, right? It's
yeah,
3/4 of the way through the oven.
there
Okay,
you go.
great.
There you go. Because that's what people want. They want, quick service done right, done once, and somebody that they can depend on now more than ever, because we are an extension of their brand. So
Yeah.
I love that. Well, Brandon, what are some last minute thoughts? Anything that you can share with our audience today?
Man, we covered so much. But I would say last minute thoughts is, hey, we're all going to be all right. And again, I mean, I'm joking about this. Like, for me, it is kind of a joke at this point, right? It's just another day in 2020. But every day in 2020 so far has had an option to maximize it. And I'm usually a pretty bubbly guy, but after all the stress I've had for the last couple of weeks, today I was feeling honestly a little bit down, and I was like, you know what? Take a second, take a couple deep breaths. What do I need to get done today, and how do I maximize today? And then we'll do that tomorrow, and then we'll be back into it. But hey, we're gonna be fine.
We are. And just one more step forward, right? You just
Yeah.
keep on running the race. And then, we'll get back to 10X. We'll get back to our putting on the gas and doing our 10X. And we're excited about that. By the way, we just found out today that one of Grant's main guys, that's part of his team, his inner circle, at the office, is going to be doing our real estate exchange with us, talking about 10X. And
Awesome.
I'm excited because I know 10X is your language. We cannot wait to continue to move forward. So
yeah, I hear Grant in the back of my head, just all out massive action all the time. I launched another company in this downturn as well, right? And we went from concept complete through video production in less than 2 weeks, and we're getting ready to launch. And I'm just hearing Grant, as I'm exhausted, like sleeping 4 hours a night for this period. I hear him saying, hey, extraordinary results take extraordinary action. Let's get going. So
there you go. There you go. Well, I love it. And we can't wait for more great things. Keep moving forward. You are such an inspiration to us. We're so glad to have partnered with you and moving forward and have your words of wisdom with our group. So looking forward to seeing you soon.
see you Friday.
Thank you.
Yep.